The giant meeting hall was full of angry voices. Hundreds of different alien beings sat in their floating chairs, all talking at once. Their strange languages mixed together into a loud noise that hurt human ears. At the center of it all stood Dr. Jehoon Park, the only human left in the Galactic Council building. Jehoon looked around the room at all the creatures who wanted his people gone. Some had too many eyes. Others had skin that changed colors when they got mad. A few looked like giant bugs with sharp teeth. None of them looked happy to see him. Ambassador Veltar floated up to the speaking platform. He was tall and thin, like a stick, with blue skin that glowed in the dim light. His voice was cold when he spoke. "The human problem must end today," Veltar said. His words were translated into hundreds of languages by the machines in the room. 3 times we tried to make peace with these creatures. 3 times they caused trouble. Jehoon remembered those 3 times very well. The first time, humans had tried to trade with the Zephyrian Empire. But humans worked too fast and made too much money. The Zephyrians said it was not fair. The second time was worse. Human soldiers had helped fight against space pirates. They won too easily and made the other armies look weak. The third time was the worst of all. Humans had tried to share their music and art. Other species said human culture was too strong and would take over their own cultures. "Every time we give humans a chance, they cause problems," Veltar continued. "They are too aggressive. They work too hard. They fight too well. They spread their ideas too quickly. The Council has decided that humans cannot live with civilized species." The other aliens made noises that sounded like agreement. Some clapped, with hands that had too many fingers. Others made clicking sounds with their mouths. "Where will you send us?" Jehoon asked. His voice was steady, but inside he felt scared. Veltar smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp. "Kepler 442c, a Class 15 Deathworld." The room went quiet. Even the angry aliens stopped making noise. Everyone knew what Class 15 meant. It was the highest danger level in the galaxy. No one had ever survived on a Class 15 world for more than a few months. "You cannot be serious," Jehoon said. "That is a death sentence." "Perhaps," Veltar replied. "But it solves our problem. You have 30 days to prepare your people. All humans must leave this sector of space." Back on Earth, Minji Kim sat in her office reading the message from the Galactic Council. She was the director of colonial operations, which meant it was her job to organize missions to other planets, but she had never organized a mission like this before. The information about Kepler 442c was terrible. The planet was 3 times heavier than Earth, which meant everything would weigh 3 times more. The air pressure was so high it could crush most alien species in seconds. Radiation from the planet's twin suns would kill most creatures in hours. The weather was so bad that storms could destroy entire cities, and the animals were huge and dangerous. "This is impossible," Minji said to herself. But then she remembered something her grandmother used to say. "Humans can live anywhere, if they really try." The news about the exile spread quickly across Earth. Most people were scared, some were angry, but others saw it as a challenge. Dong-Yun Lee was one of the first to volunteer. He was a military engineer who had built bases in the worst places on Earth. Hot deserts, frozen mountains, deep underwater. He had worked in them all. "I have been building things in bad places my whole life," Dong-Yun told Minji during his interview. "How much worse can it be?" So-Young Choi was a scientist who studied life in extreme places. She had found bacteria living in boiling water and plants growing in toxic soil. When she heard about Kepler 442c, she got excited. "Think about what we might discover there," So-Young said. "No one has ever really studied a Class 15 world before. The aliens always run away too fast." Hyunwoo Nam was a survival expert. He taught people how to live in the wilderness with nothing but basic tools. He had survived alone in jungles, deserts, and frozen wastelands. When he read about the planet's dangers, he just laughed. "Sounds fun," Hyunwoo said. "I was getting bored anyway." Yoonji Jang was different from the others. She was a terraforming expert, someone who could change planets to make them better for life. Most people thought terraforming a Class 15 world was impossible. Yoonji thought it was the biggest challenge of her career. "Every planet can be improved," Yoonji told the selection committee. "We just need to understand how." The selection process was hard. Not everyone could go to such a dangerous place. People needed to be strong, smart, and brave. They also needed skills that would help the colony survive. In the end, they chose 10,000 people. Jaemin Kwan was picked to be the communications officer. It would be his job to stay in contact with Earth and the Galactic Council. He was young and nervous, but he was also very good with technology. "What if something goes wrong?" Jaemin asked Minji before they left. "Then we fix it," Minji replied. "That is what humans do." The ships that would carry them to Kepler 442c were not comfortable. They were designed by aliens for alien bodies. The seats were too small or too big. The air smelled strange. The food was terrible, but the humans made the best of it. During the long trip through space, the colonists studied everything they could about their new home. They read reports from alien scouts who had tried to explore the planet. Most of the reports ended the same way. Crew lost. Mission failed. "Look at this," So-young said, showing the others a report on her computer. "This alien team lasted 6 hours before something killed them all." "What killed them?" Dong-hyun asked. "The report just says, hostile ecosystem response." That could mean anything. Hyunwoo looked at the pictures of the planet's surface. It looked like a nightmare. The ground was covered in strange plants with thorns like knives. The sky was full of flying creatures with too many wings. In the distance, huge animals moved between twisted trees. "It does not look friendly," he admitted. "Good thing we are not going there to make friends," Yoonji said. "We are going there to make a home." As their ships got closer to Kepler 442c, the Galactic Council sent their final message to the human colony. It was short and simple. "Good luck. You will need it." Veltar watched the human ships disappear toward the deadly planet. He felt satisfied. The human problem would be solved in a few months when the last colonist died. Then the galaxy could go back to being peaceful and orderly. He had no idea how wrong he was. The human ships entered the atmosphere of Kepler 442c during a terrible storm. Lightning hit their ships. Wind tried to blow them off course. The pressure made their ears hurt and their bones ache. But the human pilots kept flying. "Welcome to hell," Jahoon said as he looked out the window at their new home. "Not hell," Minji corrected him. "Home. We just need to make it work." The first ship touched down on Kepler 442c with a loud crash. The landing was rough because the planet's gravity was much stronger than Earth's. Everything felt 3 times heavier than normal. Walking was like carrying 2 people on your back. Jihoon was the first person to step outside. He wore a heavy suit that was supposed to protect him from the planet's dangers. The alien scientists had designed it to keep humans safe. But as soon as his feet touched the ground, something went wrong. The soil under his boots started to move. It was not really dirt at all, but tiny living things that looked like worms. They began climbing up his legs, trying to eat through his protective suit. Jihoon tried to brush them off, but more kept coming. "The ground is alive," he shouted into his radio, "and it is trying to eat me." Behind him, other colonists rushed out of the ship. They all wore the same protective suits, but the suits were failing quickly. The living dirt was just the beginning of their problems. Minji looked around at their new home and felt sick. Everything was wrong. The sky was orange instead of blue. The air was so thick it was hard to see very far. Strange plants grew everywhere. and they all seemed to be moving toward the humans. "Set up the emergency shelters now," Minji ordered. "We need protection." The colonists worked as fast as they could, but the heavy gravity made everything difficult. Simple tasks that took minutes on Earth now took hours. Lifting boxes felt like moving boulders. Walking a few steps left people breathing hard. Dong-yun started building the first shelter. It was made from alien materials that were supposed to be very strong, but within an hour, the shelter began to fall apart. Plants with acid in their leaves were dissolving the walls. Insects with metal teeth were chewing through the support beams. "This is not working," Dong-yun said. He was covered in sweat even, though the air was cold. "The alien materials cannot handle this environment." While Dong-yun fought with the failing shelter, So-young was studying the local life forms. She collected samples of the acid plants and the metal-eating insects. What she found surprised her. "These creatures are not random," she told the others. "They work together. The plants weaken our materials, then the insects finish them off. It is like the whole planet is fighting us." The first night was terrible. The emergency shelters leaked. The air filters clogged with strange particles. The water purification system broke down completely. Half the colonists got sick from breathing the alien air. But something strange happened to the humans who got sick. Instead of getting worse, they started to feel better after a few hours. Their bodies seemed to adjust to the poisonous air. By morning, most of them could breathe normally without their masks. "That should not be possible," So-young said. She checked her instruments again and again. "The air here would kill most aliens in minutes, but we are adapting to it." Hyun-woo had spent the night outside without any shelter at all. He wanted to test how dangerous the planet really was. When the others found him in the morning, he was sitting by a small fire, cooking something that smelled terrible. "Where did you get food?" Minji asked. "From the plants that tried to eat our shelter," Hyun-woo replied. He took a bite of the roasted plant and smiled. "Tastes like spicy chicken." "You cannot eat that," So-young said. "Those plants are full of acid." "We're full of acid," Hyun-woo corrected her. "Cooking breaks down the dangerous chemicals. I learned that from studying earth plants. Many poisonous things become safe if you prepare them right." By the end of the first week, the colonists had learned important lessons. The alien technology did not work on Kepler 442c. The protective suits were useless. The emergency shelters fell apart in days. But human adaptability was working better than anyone expected. Yoonji made the first big breakthrough. She was trying to fix the water purification system when she discovered something amazing. The planet's water was full of chemicals that would kill most galactic species instantly. The alien purification system was designed to remove these chemicals completely. But when humans drank the unpurified water, they only got mild stomach aches for a few days. Then their bodies adapted. After a week of drinking the local water, the colonists felt stronger and healthier than before. "Our bodies are learning to process the local chemistry," Yoonji explained. "We are becoming part of this ecosystem instead of fighting against it." The second week brought new challenges. Giant creatures came out of the forests to investigate the human settlement. They looked like crosses between bears and tigers, but they were as big as elephants. Their claws could cut through metal like paper. Most of the colonists ran when they saw these creatures. But Hyun-woo stood his ground. He had noticed something the others missed. The creatures were not hunting. They were curious. "They are intelligent," Hyun-woo told the others after his first meeting with one of the giants. "They can smell that we are different from other aliens. They want to know what we are." So-young started studying the giant creatures. She discovered that they were not really predators at all. They ate the metal-chewing insects and the acid plants. They were actually helping to control the ecosystem. Everything here is connected, So-young realized. The plants, the insects, the big animals. They all work together to maintain balance. They attack foreign things because foreign things usually try to destroy that balance. By the third week, something remarkable was happening. The human colony was not just surviving, it was growing. The colonists had learned to work with the planet instead of against it. Dong-yun stopped trying to build alien-style shelters. Instead, he started growing them. He discovered that some of the local plants could be trained to grow in useful shapes. With the right care, they would form walls, roofs, and even doors. These living buildings were stronger than anything the aliens had designed. "The plants want to help," Dong-yun explained. "We just have to show them what we need." Jaemin sent regular reports back to the Galactic Council. He was careful to tell the truth without making it sound too good. The reports mentioned challenges and difficulties, but they did not sound desperate. The aliens who received these reports assumed the humans were dying slowly. They waited for the final distress call that would mean the end of the human colony. But that call never came. Instead, after a month on Kepler 442c, Jaemin sent a request that shocked the Galactic Council. The humans were asking for farming equipment, not emergency supplies or rescue ships. Farming equipment. Minji had made the decision to expand the colony. The first settlement was stable now, and the humans were ready to spread out across their new world. They had learned to eat the local plants, drink the local water, and even communicate with some of the local animals. "We are not visitors here anymore," Minji told her people. "We are residents. This is our home now." The colonists cheered when she said this. They had been afraid when they first arrived, but now they were excited. Kepler 442c was dangerous, but it was also full of opportunities that no other species had ever discovered. So-young made one more important discovery before the end of their second month. She found out why humans could adapt to the planet when other species could not. "It is our bacteria," she explained. "Every human carries millions of tiny life forms in their body. These bacteria help us digest food and fight diseases. But they do something else here. They help us process the local chemistry." "You mean the germs inside us are making friends with the germs here?" Hyun-woo asked. "Exactly," So-young said. "Our internal ecosystem is merging with the planetary ecosystem. We are becoming part of Kepler 442c, and it is becoming part of us." The news from the human colony confused the Galactic Council. How could anyone survive on a Class 15 Deathworld for 2 months? They sent spy drones to check on the humans. What the drones found was impossible. The human settlement was growing. New buildings were sprouting from the ground like plants. Gardens full of alien vegetables were flourishing. Children were playing outside without protective suits. Veltar stared at the drone footage in disbelief. This was not supposed to happen. Class 15 worlds killed everything. They did not support thriving colonies. "Perhaps we made an error in our classification," one of his assistants suggested. "No," Veltar said. "We sent 12 different survey teams to that planet. They all died within hours. The classification is correct." "Then how are the humans surviving?" Veltar did not have an answer. But he was starting to suspect that the real error had been in classifying humans as a normal species. 6 months after landing on Kepler 442c, Tai Hyung-shin made a request that shocked the galaxy. As the colony's food production specialist, he sent a message to the Galactic Council asking for farming equipment. Not emergency food rations, not rescue ships, farming equipment. The message was simple. Human colony doing well, need tractors, seeds, and greenhouse materials, planning to grow food for long-term settlement. Veltar read the message 3 times before he believed it. His assistants checked the communication records to make sure it was not a mistake. But the message was real. The humans were not dying, they were planning to stay. "This is impossible," Veltar said. "No species can farm on a Class 15 world. The soil is toxic. The weather destroys crops. The local plants attack anything foreign." But Taehyung had already solved those problems. He had spent months studying the planet's soil and plants. What he found changed everything the galaxy thought they knew about hostile worlds. The soil is not toxic, Taehyung explained to his fellow colonists. It is just different. It has minerals and bacteria that Earth plants cannot use. But if we mix Earth soil with local soil, magic happens. The magic was real. Plants grown in the mixed soil grew faster and stronger than anything on Earth. Potatoes became as big as melons. Carrots grew as thick as a person's arm. Tomatoes produced fruit all year long. The local bacteria help our plants, So-young discovered, after studying Taehyung's gardens. They break down the local minerals and feed them to Earth plants. It is like the planet is helping us grow food. Minji watched the colony expand beyond their wildest dreams. What started as one emergency settlement had become 3 permanent towns. The humans were not just surviving on Kepler 4422c. They were thriving. The buildings in the new towns looked nothing like alien architecture. Dong-yun had perfected his technique of growing structures from local plants. The walls were alive and could repair themselves when damaged. The roofs absorbed rainwater and cleaned it automatically. The floors were soft and warm, made from a moss-like plant that grew stronger when people walked on it. "These buildings are better than anything we had on Earth," Dong-yun told a group of new colonists. "They adapt to the weather, fix themselves when broken, and even produce their own light at night." The most amazing discovery came from So-young's research into the planet's ecosystem. She had been studying why the local animals had stopped attacking humans. What she found changed everything. "The animals can smell our bacteria," So-young explained. "Every species has a unique chemical signature. When we first arrived, we smelled like aliens, but after a few months of eating local food and drinking local water, we smell like natives." To prove her point, So-young introduced the colonists to their new neighbors. The giant bear-tiger creatures that had once seemed so dangerous were now regular visitors to the human towns. Children played games with creatures that could tear apart metal with their claws. "They are not pets," So-young warned. "They are partners. They help us by eating the insects that damage our crops. We help them by growing plants they like to eat." Hyunwoo had made an even more amazing discovery. He had learned to communicate with the local wildlife using a combination of sounds, smells, and movements. It turned out that many of the planet's creatures were highly intelligent. "The big flyers are like dolphins," Hyunwoo told the others. He pointed to creatures that looked like flying whales with too many wings. "They have complex languages and social structures. They have been watching us since we arrived." "What do they think of us?" Minji asked. "They are curious. They want to know why we are different from other aliens. Other species come here and try to fight the planet. We came here and joined it." The most dramatic change was happening to the humans themselves. After 6 months on Kepler 442c, the colonists were different from the people who had left Earth. The heavy gravity had made everyone stronger. Their bones were thicker, their muscles were bigger, and their hearts pumped more efficiently. The high radiation levels had activated parts of their DNA that were normally dormant. Some people could see better in the dark. Others healed from injuries faster than before. "We are evolving," Yoonji said after studying the medical data. "The planet is changing us, and we are changing it. This is not terraforming in the traditional sense. This is co-evolution. The children born on Kepler 442c were the most changed of all. They were stronger and healthier than their parents. They could run in the heavy gravity without getting tired. They could eat local plants that still made adults sick. They even seemed to understand the local animals instinctively. These children belong here," So-young observed. "They are truly native to this world." Yoonji had started the galaxy's first successful terraforming project on a Class 15 world. But her methods were revolutionary. Instead of trying to replace the local ecosystem, she was blending it with Earth life. "Look at this." Yoonji showed the others a grove of trees that should not exist. They looked like Earth oak trees, but their leaves were the wrong color and they grew strange fruits. These are hybrid trees, part Earth oak, part local crystal tree. They are stronger than either parent species. The hybrid forest was just the beginning. Yunji's team had created hybrid grass that could survive the planet's storms. They had developed hybrid flowers that attracted both earth bees and local pollinators. They had even bred hybrid fish for the colony's new lakes. "We are not conquering this planet," Yunji explained. "We are joining with it. The result is an ecosystem that neither Earth nor Kepler 442c could create alone." Jamin continued to send reports to the Galactic Council. His messages became more confident with each passing month. He no longer reported struggles and challenges. Instead, he sent updates about successful harvests, new scientific discoveries, and requests for luxury items. The colony would like recreational equipment, one of his messages read. Sports supplies, musical instruments, and art materials. The survival phase is over. We are ready for the cultural development phase. The Galactic Council did not know how to respond to these messages. No one had ever sent requests for sports equipment from a Class 15 world before. "Perhaps they are suffering from isolation madness," suggested one of Veltar's advisors. "The stress of constant danger has damaged their minds." But the evidence kept piling up. Spy drones showed human children playing in areas that should have killed them instantly. Surveillance satellites detected agricultural activities that should have been impossible. Communication intercepts revealed humans discussing art projects and music festivals. A year passed. The human colony had not only survived, but flourished. The population was growing through both new births and successful adaptation of everyone who arrived. The 3 towns had become 5, then 8, then 12. The colonists had discovered resources that the alien surveys had missed. The crystal creatures that ate metal were actually a form of living mining equipment. When treated properly, they would extract pure metals from the ground in exchange for food. The acid plants could be used to break down waste materials completely. Even the dangerous weather had been turned into an advantage. The storms generated enough electrical energy to power the entire colony. "We have everything we need here," Minji announced at the colony's first anniversary celebration. "Food, shelter, energy, and raw materials. We are completely self-sufficient." The celebration was attended by representatives from every species on the planet. Humans, crystal creatures, flying whales, ground runners, and dozens of others. The various life forms had learned to work together in ways that amazed the human scientists. "This is not just a colony," Jihoon observed. "This is a new form of civilization. We have created something that has never existed before in the galaxy." As news of the human success spread through unofficial channels, other species began to take notice. Exiled criminals from various worlds sent messages asking if they could join the human colony. Scientists requested permission to study the impossible, civilization. Even some government officials quietly inquired about establishing trade relationships. The Galactic Council faced an uncomfortable reality. The species they had exiled to eliminate a problem had instead created something remarkable. The humans had not just survived on an impossible world, they had made it better. Veltar stared at the latest reports from Kepler 442c. The spy drones showed human cities that looked like they had grown from the ground itself. The humans had not conquered the Class 15 world. They had joined with it to create something entirely new. "What have we done?" Veltar asked himself. But deep down, he already knew the answer. The Galactic Council had made the greatest mistake in their history. They had exiled the one species that could turn the galaxy's most dangerous worlds into thriving homes. The question now was what to do about it. The humans had proven they did not need the galaxy's help to survive, but perhaps the galaxy needed the humans' help to solve problems they had never imagined possible. For the first time since the exile, Veltar began to wonder if the Galactic Council should ask the humans to come back, not as exiles but as partners. 18 months after the human exile, Captain Zith-Ara of the Velcon Survey Corps received the strangest assignment of her career. The Galactic Council wanted her to visit Kepler 442c and count the human survivors. Survivors? Captain Zith-Ara asked when she read her orders. How many humans do you expect to find alive? Perhaps a few dozen, her commanding officer replied. Maybe 100 if they were very lucky. The Council needs exact numbers for their records. Captain Zith-Ara had seen the original reports about Kepler 442c. It was classified as impossible to survive. Her ship was equipped with heavy shields and emergency medical equipment. She expected to find a few desperate humans hiding in underground shelters, slowly dying from radiation and starvation. What she found instead changed her understanding of what was possible. Her ship's sensors detected the human settlements from 3 days away. At first, she thought the readings were wrong. The sensors showed multiple cities with millions of inhabitants. That could not be right. Only 10,000 humans had been sent to the planet. Run a full diagnostic on all sensors, Captain Zith-Ara ordered her crew. These readings are impossible, but the diagnostics showed that all equipment was working perfectly. As they got closer to Kepler 442c, the readings became even more confusing. The sensors detected massive agricultural areas, industrial facilities, and transportation networks. The energy output from the planet had increased by 300% since the dead. Last survey. Captain, her science officer reported, I am detecting multiple new life forms. The planetary ecosystem has completely changed since our last visit. When Captain Zith-Ara's ship entered the planet's atmosphere, she saw something that no alien had ever seen before. A Class 15 Deathworld that looked like paradise. The landing was smooth, too smooth. Captain Zith-Ara realized that the atmospheric storms that made landing so dangerous had been tamed somehow. Weather control systems guided her ship to a perfect landing at what appeared to be a major spaceport. Ji-hoon was waiting for them when they landed. He wore clothes made from local materials and was accompanied by creatures that should have killed him instantly. A crystal beast the size of a small building stood beside him like a faithful pet. Flying creatures circled overhead in perfect formation. "Welcome to New Seoul," Ji-hoon said with a smile. "I am Governor Park. We have been expecting you." Captain Zith-Ara stepped out of her ship wearing full protective armor. The atmosphere readings showed that the air was still toxic to most species. But Ji-hoon and the other humans were breathing it freely. "How are you alive?" was the first question Captain Zith-Ara asked. "We adapted," Ji-hoon replied simply. "Would you like a tour?" The tour that followed broke every rule Captain Zith-Ara knew about hostile planets. Minji led them through New Seoul, a city that looked like it had been grown rather than built. The buildings were alive, made from plants that had been trained to form walls, roofs, and decorative elements. "These structures repair themselves," Minji explained as they walked through streets lined with flowering trees. "They adjust to weather changes automatically. They even produce their own light and heat." Captain Zith-Ara's equipment could barely function in the high radiation environment. But human children were playing in the streets without any protection. Some of them were playing with baby versions of the giant predators that had killed the original survey teams. "This is impossible," Captain Zith-Ara said. "My records show that this planet kills most life forms within hours." "It does," So-young agreed. She had joined the tour to explain the science behind their survival. "But only if those life forms fight against the ecosystem. We learned to work with it instead." So-young showed the alien visitors her research laboratory. It was built inside, a living cave that had grown around her equipment. The walls glowed with natural light, and the air was cleaned by symbiotic organisms. Every species that came here before tried to impose their biology on this planet, So-young explained. "We let the planet's biology change us. Now we are part of the ecosystem instead of invaders." The evidence was overwhelming. Blood tests showed that human DNA had incorporated elements from local organisms. Their digestive systems had adapted to process materials that were toxic to other species. Even their brain chemistry had changed to handle the planet's unique electromagnetic fields. "You are no longer fully human," Captain Zithara observed. "We are more human than we ever were before," Jihoon corrected her. "This planet has brought out abilities that were always inside us." Dongyun demonstrated the construction techniques that had built their impossible cities. He communicated with the local crystal creatures using a combination of sounds and chemical signals. The creatures responded by reshaping themselves into building materials. "They are not tools," Dongyun explained. "They are partners. We provide them with food and protection. They help us build homes that can survive anything this planet produces." The alien visitors watched in amazement as an entire building grew from the ground in just a few hours. The crystal creatures formed the foundation and framework. Local plants created the walls and roof. Symbiotic organisms moved in to provide lighting, heating, and air purification. "This technology does not exist anywhere else in the galaxy," Captain Zithara said. "Because nowhere else in the galaxy has what we have here," Dongyun replied. "This planet and its ecosystem." Hyunwoo showed them the communication networks that connected human settlements with the planet's native intelligence. It turned out that many of the local species were not just animals. They were thinking beings with complex cultures. "The flying whales are mathematicians," Hyunwoo explained as a group of the massive creatures performed aerial calculations above their heads. "They have been working on cosmic equations for thousands of years. The ground runners are historians. They remember everything that has ever happened on this planet." "You can communicate with them?" Captain Zithara asked. "More than that," Hyunwoo said. "We are learning from them. They are teaching us things about physics and biology that your scientists never discovered." The most shocking revelation came from Yoonji's terraforming projects. She had not just created hybrid ecosystems, she had made them better than anything that existed naturally. "Look at this forest," Yoonji said, leading them to a grove of impossible trees. "These trees can survive in space vacuum or underwater. They produce oxygen, food, and building materials. They even generate their own gravity fields." "That is scientifically impossible," Captain Zithara protested. "Only if you think like an alien," Yoonji replied. "Humans think differently. We see possibilities where others see only problems." The forest was full of creatures that should not exist. Hybrid animals that combined Earth and local genetics. Plants that could think and communicate. Even the air itself seemed alive with microscopic organisms that worked together to maintain perfect environmental balance. "This is not terraforming," Captain Zithara realized. "This is the creation of entirely new forms of life. We call it cooperative evolution," Yoonji said. "Instead of forcing change, we guide it. The results are better than anything either planet could have produced alone." By the end of the tour, Captain Zithara understood that she was witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. The humans had not just survived on a Class 15 world. They had transformed it into something that surpassed even the most advanced worlds in the galaxy. Jameen gave her copies of all their research data and progress reports. The information filled dozens of data crystals. It represented scientific advances that would have taken the rest of the galaxy centuries to achieve. "Why are you sharing this with us?" Captain Zithara asked. "After what the Council did to you, you have every right to refuse contact." "Because we are still human?" Jihoon answered. "We believe in cooperation and sharing knowledge. That has not changed. But the Council exiled you. They tried to eliminate your species." "They were afraid of us," Minji said. "We understand that. We were different, and different things can be scary. But we are not enemies. We never were." As Captain Zithara prepared to leave Kepler 442c, she realized that her mission had completely changed. She had come to count survivors. Instead, she was leaving with proof that humans had achieved something impossible. "What should I tell the Council?" she asked Jihoon before boarding her ship. "Tell them the truth," Jihoon replied. Tell them that. The species they tried to eliminate has become something remarkable. Tell them that we are ready to share what we have learned, if they are ready to listen. And if they are not ready? Jihoon looked around at the thriving civilization that surrounded them. Human children played with alien creatures in gardens that bloomed with impossible beauty. In the distance, new cities were growing from the ground, like living things. Then we will continue to build our own future, he said, with or without the galaxy's approval. Captain Zithara's ship lifted off from Kepler 442c, carrying the most important cargo in galactic history. Her databanks contained proof that Class 15 worlds were not death traps. They were opportunities, and humans were the key to unlocking them. As her ship disappeared into space, the humans of Kepler 442c returned to their daily lives. They had work to do, more cities to grow, more species to befriend, more impossible things to make possible. They had proven that exile could become opportunity. 2 years after the exile, the Galactic Council chambers were in chaos. Ambassador Veltar stood before the assembled representatives, holding a data crystal that contained Captain Zithara's report from Kepler 442c. The information it held was impossible to believe. The humans have not only survived, Veltar announced to the stunned assembly. They have created the galaxy's first successful civilization on a Class 15 world. The alien representatives made sounds of disbelief. Some demanded to see the evidence again. Others accused Captain Zithara of filing false reports. A few suggested that the humans had somehow faked their success, but the evidence was undeniable. Satellite scans showed thriving cities where there should have been empty wasteland. Biological samples contained new life forms that were scientifically impossible. Energy readings indicated industrial activity at levels that surpassed many established worlds. How many humans are there now? Asked Counselor Rathmak of the hegemony. Veltar checked his notes. Approximately 50,000. The population has grown through both reproduction and successful adaptation of new arrivals. New arrivals? Rathmak's voice showed surprise. Who is sending more humans to that death trap? No one is sending them, Veltar replied. They are volunteering. Word has spread through unofficial channels about the human success. People from Earth are choosing to emigrate to Kepler 442c. This news caused even more chaos in the chambers. The concept of voluntary immigration to a Class 15 world was beyond their understanding. No sane being would choose to live in such a hostile environment. On Kepler 442c, Jamin received an official communication from the Galactic Council. It was the first formal contact since the exile began. The message was carefully worded, but its meaning was clear. The Council wanted to re-establish diplomatic relations. They want to talk, Jamin told Jihoon as they reviewed the message together. Of course they do, Jihoon replied. They have finally realized what they threw away. The message requested a formal diplomatic meeting to discuss mutual cooperation and shared interests. It made no mention of the exile or any apology for past actions, but between the careful diplomatic language, the real message was obvious. The galaxy needed help. Jihoon's response was equally careful. He agreed to hold talks, but they would take place on Kepler 442c. If the galaxy wanted human help, they would have to come to the humans. Minji oversaw the construction of the galaxy's first diplomatic embassy on a Class 15 world. The building grew from the living stone of the planet's crust, shaped by cooperative crystal creatures and guided by human architects. It was beautiful and functional, a perfect example of the hybrid technology that humans had developed. Every surface in this building is alive, Minji explained to her construction team. The walls will translate languages automatically. The floors will adjust their temperature for each species' comfort. The air will be filtered to match each visitor's atmospheric needs. The embassy was ready within weeks. Its living systems could accommodate any known species while demonstrating the incredible advances humans had made. It was both a diplomatic facility and a showcase of human achievement. While the embassy was being built, Soyoung established the Kepler Institute for Extreme Environment Studies. Scientists from across the galaxy had sent requests to study human adaptation methods. Most were researchers whose own species had failed to colonize hostile worlds. "They want to understand how we did it," Soyoung told her new alien students. "But understanding is not enough. They need to change how they think about hostile environments." The Institute's first class included representatives from 12 different species. They came expecting to learn technical solutions, new tools, better protective equipment, improved terraforming methods. What they found instead was a completely different philosophy. "Stop thinking of this planet as hostile," Soyoung taught them. "It is not trying to kill you. It is trying to maintain its natural balance. Work with that balance instead of against it." The alien students struggled with this concept. Their entire approach to colonization was based on conquest and domination. The idea of cooperation with a planetary ecosystem was revolutionary. Dong-hyun became the galaxy's most sought-after construction expert. His methods of growing buildings from living materials had applications far beyond Kepler 442c. Dozens of worlds requested his help with projects that traditional construction could not handle. "Living buildings adapt to their environment," Dong-hyun explained to a group of alien engineers. "They repair damage automatically, upgrade themselves as needed, and become more efficient over time. Why would you want anything else?" His first off-world project was on Zirion Prime, a desert planet where traditional structures failed due to sandstorms and extreme temperature changes. Dong-hyun introduced hybrid plants that could grow into building materials while surviving the harsh conditions. The success on Zirion Prime led to more requests. Soon, Dong-hyun was traveling across the galaxy, teaching other species how to work with hostile environments instead of fighting them. Hyunwoo pioneered a new field that the galaxy had never needed before: interspecies ecosystem communication. His ability to establish relationships with dangerous planetary systems made previously impossible colonies suddenly viable. "Every planet has its own personality," Hyunwoo explained to his trainees. "Learn to read the signs, understand what the ecosystem wants, then find ways to give it what it needs while getting what you need." His techniques worked on worlds that had defeated colonization attempts for centuries. Lava planets that killed everything they touched learned to accept settlers who respected their volcanic nature. Ice worlds that froze all technology began cooperating with species who appreciated their frozen beauty. Yoonji's cooperative terraforming methods revolutionized planetary development across the galaxy. Her approach of enhancing existing ecosystems rather than replacing them produced results that amazed scientists everywhere. "Traditional terraforming takes centuries and often fails," Yoonji demonstrated to a gathering of planetary engineers. "Cooperative evolution takes decades and creates results that are better than anything either planet could achieve alone." Her hybrid ecosystems became templates for successful colonization throughout the galaxy. Worlds that had been written off as impossible became thriving colonies using her methods. The diplomatic meeting finally took place 6 months after the initial contact. Representatives from the Galactic Council arrived at Kepler 442c in heavily shielded ships, wearing full protective gear. They expected to find desperate humans grateful for any contact with galactic civilization. Instead, they found humans who had surpassed galactic civilization in every meaningful way. Ji-hoon met the delegation wearing clothes made from living fabric that adjusted to environmental conditions automatically. He was accompanied by representatives from multiple planetary species, the crystal creatures, flying whales, ground runners, and dozens of others that now participated in human society. "Welcome to our home," Ji-hoon said. "We hope you find your visit educational." The alien diplomats were overwhelmed by what they saw. The embassy building demonstrated technology that was decades ahead of anything in their databases. The city outside showed a level of environmental integration that their scientists considered impossible. "We came here to discuss cooperation," Ambassador Veltar said, trying to maintain diplomatic composure. "The galaxy faces many challenges that might benefit from human insights." "You mean you need our help?" Jihoon replied directly. "There are 847 Class 12 through Class 15 worlds in this sector alone. All of them are currently classified as uninhabitable. You want us to make them livable." Veltar's silence confirmed the truth. The galaxy was running out of suitable worlds for colonization. The hostile planets that had been ignored for centuries were now their only option for expansion. "What do you want in return?" Veltar asked. "Recognition," Jihoon answered. "Not as the problem species you tried to eliminate, but as the solution species you actually need. Full membership in the Galactic Council, equal status in all interspecies organizations, and an apology for the exile." The negotiations took weeks. The alien representatives struggled to accept that the species they had exiled was now dictating terms to them. But the evidence was undeniable. Humans possessed abilities that no other species had demonstrated. The final agreement was historic. Humans would share their knowledge and assist with colonization of hostile worlds. In return, they would receive full membership in all galactic organizations and recognition as a major species. The signing ceremony took place in the embassy's main hall. As the documents were finalized, Jihoon looked around at the assembled representatives, humans, aliens, and the various species of Kepler 442c working together. "2 years ago, you sent us here to die," Jihoon said to the alien delegates. "Today, you are asking us to help you live. This is the difference between exile and cooperation." Ambassador Veltar signed the agreement with visible reluctance. The species he had tried to eliminate was now essential to galactic survival. The exile that was supposed to solve the human problem had instead created the solution to problems the galaxy did not even know it had. As the ceremony concluded, Minji announced the next phase of human expansion.